From the mountains of the North Cascades to the rainforests and the coasts of the Olympic Peninsula, and the mountain vistas and the wildflowers of Mount Rainier. Join us as we head out on a road trip to visit each of Washington's national parks. Brought to you by Occidentalist Outdoors. We started out the trip on the eastern side of the North Cascades. Although not in the national park, Washington Pass serves as a great portal to the rugged North Cascades. We spent a couple days exploring and taking day hikes along the Highway 20 Scenic Byway. The Blue Lake Trail served as a great introduction to the area. Before we reached the lake, we spotted this mountain goat and her kid working their way toward the trail. Before we knew it, we were reversing course and quickly looking for a place to get off the trail, and Mama Goat was right on my heels until we did. Luckily, once we were out of the way, they continued down the trail, looking for the next group of hikers they could bully out of the way. Blue Lake does live up to its name. We headed back down the trail the way we came, dodging a few showers, and day one was on the books. We headed back up and over Washington Pass the next morning. Today's hike was going to take us to Lake Ann. As we climbed into the mountain meadows, we found plenty of blooming wildflowers. Lake Ann sits in a classic glacially carved cirque, a pretty destination for a short day hike. Back down the trail we went, enjoying the abundant mountain views. We did actually spot a black bear on this trail, but it was gone before we could reach for the camera. On day 3, we did actually make it through the scenic byway and all the way over to the park. It was a Saturday, but we managed to find a trail that wasn't too crowded. You can tell by the size of the trees we had made it to the west side of the Cascades.
time to stop for lunch. What are we having?
All right, so we have spicy sardine pate on the side of the trail. Hiked up Thunder Creek on a Saturday. It's pretty good. I would recommend if you're out in North Cascade National Park on a busy day, this might be a little bit quieter trail, especially after you get past the first bridge. Yeah, nice little hike through the gorgeous woods. We're gonna stop and have a little lunch when we're really pulling out all the stops. We always do a tin fish, and so today we have pate from Portugal.
Yeah, we're doing fancy today for lunch.
Pretty excited about it. All right, homemade crackers. Hopefully they stand up to the pate. It's gonna be delicious. Oh yeah, doesn't get any better than that.
We finished our hike and it's so hot outside, but we have freezy pops.
Oh yeah, yum. They're so good. I think I'm gonna have two. Oh. We kept on moving west the next day and headed to our final destination in the North Cascades, the hike to Cascade Pass. As we climbed higher on the trail, we reached the cloud level, and the second half of our climb to the pass was in dense fog. We were starting to wonder if we'd have any kind of view once we reached the pass. But the sun started to burn off the fog and clouds just as we reached the pass. We passed our time waiting for a clearer sky by watching the pikas and the hoary marmots. Not a bad way to spend the day. And that waiting finally paid off. The mountains mostly came out from under their veil of clouds, offering some dramatic views. Just before heading back down the trail, we spotted a few mountain goats hanging around the pass as well. Then it was all downhill and back to the truck. Our time in the North Cascades had come to a close. We were moving on to Olympic National Park, but first we needed to take the ferry over to the Olympic Peninsula. Our first destination in Olympic National Park was the Olympic Coast. We headed out from Ozette and did the 9-mile loop of the Ozette Triangle over 2 days. To see the full video of our backpack trip to the Olympic Coast, check out the link in the video. With our hike to the coast done early on day 2, we had enough time to head up Hurricane Ridge for a few hit-and-miss views of the Olympic Mountains between the clouds. Then we headed out to find our next camp. Since we didn't have any campsite reservations, the Washington Department of Natural Resource campgrounds came in pretty handy on this leg of the trip. For the price of the $30 annual Washington Discover Pass, you get a much better campsite than the ones in the park. Equipped with pit toilets and spacious private campsites with their own tables and fire rings. Just be sure that if you pack it in, you pack it out. The next day we moved toward the Hoh Rainforest to explore more of the west side of the park. With the time we had left in the day after setting up a base camp to last us through the weekend, we headed to the mouth of the Hoh River. The beach was the perfect spot for lunch and some pelican viewing. didn't get an early enough start for a day in the whole rainforest. We found out, only after we arrived, that the park has implemented metered entry, meaning a vehicle can only enter when another one leaves. This left us waiting in line for about an hour and a half before we gained entry into the park. If you want to see the whole rainforest, we suggest you get there early. Once in the park, we headed up the river trail. About a half-mile in, we left the majority of people behind, and we were left to enjoy the giant moss-draped trees. Just in case you didn't believe me on the need to arrive early, here's the lineup of cars when we left the park later in the afternoon. Our time at Olympic National Park was coming to a close, but we did make one more stop the next morning at Ruby Beach, and we can highly recommend this beach for some exploring, especially at low tide. The last stop on our tour of Washington National Parks was Mount Rainier. We did anticipate the big crowds at Paradise and arrived when the shadows were still long in the morning. The famed mountaineer John Muir once wrote of Paradise, "Every one of these parks, great and small, is a garden filled knee-deep with fresh, lovely flowers of every hue, the most luxuriant and the most extravagantly beautiful of all the alpine gardens I ever beheld in all my mountaintop wanderings." The flowers were in peak form and the sky was clear. This was the perfect day to be on the Skyline Loop. As we climbed higher, an amazing panorama revealed itself to the south. The Goat Rocks, Mount Adams, way off in the far distance, Mount Hood, and finally, Mount St. Helens. Our second and final day in Mount Rainier started early. The sunrise area of the park has limited entry due to overcrowding, so you either have to get a permit or enter before 7 or after 5 if you want to visit. And yes, we made it in plenty of time to get in. No lines and no reservations. The mountain was absolutely glowing in the early morning light. Definitely worth getting up for. You're a bit higher in elevation at sunrise, so a few less wildflowers, but the views definitely don't disappoint. It's warming up, but we got into sunrise before the reservation system cut off at 7. We pulled in right through the gates at 6. So,
Ugh.
Yeah.
Which means we got up at 5.
Nice glow to the mountain this morning. We're out on our last day of this trip, out on the trail, exploring the trails around sunrise.
Yeah. Mount Rainier is gorgeous when you can see it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's something. So, yeah. One more day, be out enjoying it. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this quick tour of Washington's national parks. If you subscribe to the channel, we'll see you on our next adventure. Until then, we'll see you out on the trail.